Have you ever just searched the word Joy-Con on Amazon? There's a lot of interesting options out there, and most of them have some god-awful names. Now thankfully my friend Jay saved me a lot of legwork and pointed me toward these, the BinBok Joypad. Now once again, it's a terrible name, but I think these are a notch higher than the rest. Now first, let's talk price. These will run you about $40 no matter which colorway you decide to go with, as opposed to the $80 price tag of the actual real Nintendo Joy-Cons. Now there's an argument to be made on whether or not Nintendo's Joy-Cons are actually worth $80, but just wait till you hear what these are actually capable of. But what doesn't cost $80 is a sub to this channel, because it's free. Now the first thing you're gonna notice when you pick up the BinBok Joypad is the grippy texture on the back. It's a lot like the Xbox controller, except a little more aggressive, and in all honesty, in the very best way. Plus they're contoured beautifully. Now I will say they still get a little bit cramped up when you're playing in handheld mode with a game like Smash, but all in all, it is a massive improvement over using just the Joy-Cons. Now when using them with the included Joy-Con grip, I would say it's actually pretty good, but I wouldn't go as far as say it's a massive improvement over the real Joy-Con grip. Other than the joysticks. Now they're not greatly larger than the actual Joy-Cons, but there's enough of a difference that you can tell big time. And I'm sure you're gonna wanna ask, do they have drift? I honestly can't answer that question yet. I haven't had them for long enough to tell for sure, but after just a full, well over a month using them right now, the calibration is still perfect. Now the overall build is good in some areas, but also a little bit worrisome in others, and that's mainly in the shells. The plastic shells that they use here, they feel kind of cheap compared to the real Joy-Cons. I guess it's just not as dense as the plastic that Nintendo uses, but man, the buttons on this thing absolutely make up for it. They're so nice and clicky, they're very tactile, minus the A, B, and X, Y, which I don't know why they didn't make those clicky as well. That's a little bit of a strange play there, but I'm not lying to you, they are so damn satisfying to touch. Now the triggers are also nice and clicky, which could be a problem if you play a lot of racing games, but overall for most games that I play, they feel fantastic. Now, the only thing I did notice though is that my left trigger is noticeably less clicky than the right. The D-pad on this is so much better than the real Joy-Cons. First, it's a real D-pad, which is fantastic if you love to play 2D platformers. Now it is a little bit smaller than the one that's on the 8-Bit Do Pro 2, but all in all, it's totally passable and I love it. I absolutely love it. Now on my set for the left Joy-Con, there is a little bit of play when I connect it to my Switch. It's not the end of the world, it's just more of an annoyance than anything, but if you grip the Switch tightly or anything like that, you're gonna feel it shift around, and it's not very pleasing at all, but it doesn't cause any connection issues, so I can't complain a whole lot about it. Unlike the Hori split pad, a licensed Nintendo product, these can actually work connected or disconnected from your Switch. They can charge while connected to your Switch, just like standard Joy-Con, or you can even disconnect them and charge them both independently. Now the only downside to that is that they don't both charge off the same cable, so you're gonna have to charge them one at a time or in tandem. So all in all, I would probably just leave them slapped on your Switch and let them charge that way. Also, unlike the Hori split pad, these have HD rumble. I would say it honestly feels even just a little bit better than the actual Joy-Cons. There's no NFC reader, which I am 100% okay with, and they have motion controls, which I'm not gonna lie, feel absolutely fantastic on these. Now when it comes to the turbo button, this feature is honestly just pretty standard on any third-party controller, and I was kind of a little frustrated by it on this one because you can't use the turbo button on the left Joy-Con to control something on the right and vice versa. Then it hit me, I forgot that you can use these Joy-Cons independently as their own standalone controller. Now honestly, I never use my Joy-Con independently because my hands are too big and it's incredibly uncomfortable for me. But if you do, then you have a turbo function on each one, and they're contoured on the back, so they're pretty easy to grip. Now one of the first things you're probably gonna notice when you see these on the Amazon store is the fact that they have RGB rings around the thumbsticks. It's a pretty nice touch, so you can actually customize your Joy-Con. The only downside is if you were hoping that the actual RGB color setting would be like in a moving circle motion, it's not, it's static. And sometimes they will just randomly light up, so if you don't have your Switch docked and you just have it sitting out and about, when it's in standby mode, they will kind of drain the battery a little bit faster than your standard Joy-Con would because they're trying to power the RGB rings. Now, unlike a lot of third-party controllers out there, these actually can wake your Switch while it's connected or disconnected. It's definitely not as seamless as using actual Joy-Cons or the Pro controllers to do it. I usually have to push the home button multiple times before it actually works. But other than that, like it's pretty nice to have that feature. Now, if you have a standard Switch case, you're not gonna be able to fit it in there with these attached. So if you travel a lot, I do highly recommend investing in a larger case, one that's gonna be large enough to house these, preferably connected onto it, or at least in a separate pouch inside the case. Or you could just buy me and not give a which is probably why my Switch is so scratched up. Now hopefully if there ever is a V3, they can just go ahead and make all the buttons clicky and just work out some of the minor quality control issues I found. Overall though, I think BinBok has made an absolutely incredible product here, and without a doubt, probably one of the best Joy-Con replacements on the market. If you want to check them out, I'll have a link in the description, and let me know, are there any other Nintendo Switch accessories you want to see on the channel? Until next time, I'm out of here. Somebody keeps shooting a gun, it's driving me crazy.